This podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The views expressed by the hosts are their own and should not be construed as definitive or factual.
Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and form their own conclusions. Discretion is advised as some topics may be sensitive or controversial. This is Babe, Let's Join a Cult. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Babe, Let's Join a Cult. I'm your host, Nikai, and I'm joined here by Babe,
The one and
co
only
host.
me.
Anyway,
That's me.
yeah, Babe, you want to give them the update because you're dirty?
I am covered in clay.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, I decided to build a studio in the garage, and now I have a stoneware studio in the garage.
Yeah, so if you need stoneware, you know where to find it.
Shameless plug right there.
Shameless plug. I had to do it for you,
Yeah.
baby.
I will the website we have is keyandkiln.com, and I will have a retail portion of the shop, the online shop, and then I will have a wholesale section for local businesses and local retailers and things like that that want more custom, like more catalog made to order custom stoneware.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just another project to add to our
One more
list.
thing that we're doing.
7 jobs,
Yeah.
podcast, school,
Yeah,
pottery.
I think I forget maybe it was you I was talking to, but I'm doing everything I can in my life and have always done that to not have to get a normal person job.
Blake's
So it's
never
like
had a normal person
constantly
job.
doing things.
I guess you've had some,
So
but they don't last longer than 2 weeks.
that's probably my best bet. Yeah, so the entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well,
But
doing great.
yeah, we're
So
pretty stoked about that we've
yeah.
been really busy with that.
Yeah, she painted the wall, so it's got a big Key and Kiln logo on there.
Yeah, that was super fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, mixed with everyday life, we just got a bit busy. So sorry for no episode last week, but
Yeah.
we're here to make up for it.
Yep, hopefully. If it's good enough. What
Well,
do we
we'll see
got?
how much I
Episode
stutter through it. Episode 9.
Dang, can y'all believe
We're
it?
almost to double
If you've
digits.
been listening since episode 1, we thank you. It is
We
now episode
do.
8. It's pretty crazy to think about.
Oh, speaking of, I wanted to tell the podcast because I thought it was so cute. So, one of my jobs is at a coffee shop, and I've been there for like a long time. And one of my good regulars, he came through. And I didn't even think he knew what, like, podcasts were, but he came through and I was like, "Hey, good morning, like, what are you feeling like drinking?" And he looked at me and he's like, "Anything but the Flavor Aid," and, like, kinda giggled, and I just, like, looked at him because in my head I was like, "There's no way he has watched a podcast," and he got so excited, he's like, "I watched your most recent episode. It was
So cool.
so good." He's like, "I've never listened to a podcast before, but it was great," and it was
Mhm.
just so sweet, and I was like, "Aw."
We've had some funny moments where like people will come up to us individually. I don't think it's happened when we're together,
Mm-mm.
but they'll be like, "You look so familiar," and then somehow they'll connect the dots that we have this podcast. Like, that's how I know
You're
you,
the
and I'm like,
cult people.
that's so wild.
It's
Yeah,
just funny to me
it's cool.
that it's still really small, but it's getting to the points where, yeah, there's people that I don't know or I've never met before, and they're like, "You're on the cult show. I
Hmm.
watched it. I listened to it." I'm like, "That's so cool."
Love it.
Even right before this, I was at the gym, and one of the gals who I've been a friend with in high school, she's like, "I've been listening to your podcast." And I was like, "No way." And she's like, "Molly has too. Molly listens to it while she gets ready in the morning."
Oh,
And I haven't seen Molly in probably like 6 years, but I just thought it was super sweet. So, anyways, Molly, if you're
that stuff's cool.
listening while
Yeah,
you're getting ready,
yeah. Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks, y'all.
thanks,
It's
guys.
very sweet.
Yeah, just lots of exciting encounters.
Yep.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty cool. So if you're at home listening to this podcast and you need some ceramic ware,
you need ceramic
let us
ware and a
know.
coffee,
Coffee
and
mugs, plates, bowls,
yeah,
custom projects, whatever.
we do it all.
It's all handmade on a wheel, as you can tell, hence the dirt and the grime. It is almost a guarantee that every episode going forward, I will be covered in clay.
Yeah, he lives in the garage now.
Yep. For the next 3 months at least. That's
Well, we'll see if he'll even
what I'm gonna be
we'll
doing.
even get a Blake episode ever again because I thought one was
Maybe
getting written this week,
next
but
week. Next week, I wanna do one on like bipartisanship politics
oof,
and the cultiness of that.
just enrage
Um,
the people.
no, I hope that it's more of a conversation that brings people together and maybe allows us to see like, hey, maybe we're all being played a little bit here,
Mhm.
you know? But
Yeah.
we'll see. It's kind of a deep endeavor that I've a lot of mine end up being the ones I'm interested in creating and doing like
They're more of
are
like a general idea, like a modern thing.
yeah, they're more like my hope is to I guess remove the duality that we experience when we pick a side and
Mhm.
say, "Hey, what if the sides are arbitrary and they're fabricated and that is the cultish behavior and there really is no side and there really is no point in going to war with your neighbor over who they voted for or whether they're religious or not or what they believe in." And it's like I think that trying to reconnect just like who we are like just I don't know, humanity
Mhm.
rather than these like intense opinions that we grab hold on
Mhm.
to, I guess, define and bring purpose to our lives and give us something to attach ourselves to. And that's the stuff that I really like tinkering
Yeah.
with because I'm like, come on,
It's kind
you
of
don't have
cool.
to do
Yeah.
that. And it's culty because I think inherent in human beings, we are attracted to cults. We create cults. We like community. We think we're better than other people. It's like these factors that play into cult behaviors, and
Yeah,
we
and
love
then
idolizing people for
well,
whatever reason.
yeah, you gotta have someone to look up to
Yeah,
because can't be
it's
yourself.
wild.
That's rough.
And the
But
people we often choose to idolize are the ones that are so willing and eager to take advantage.
that unchecked power,
So,
baby. Yeah.
unchecked power. Yes.
And I
Yeah.
just stick
It's
with
wild to
those
me.
classic, infamous cult
Yeah.
cases.
So, yes, with that, mine, they take a little more out of me.
Yeah.
Not that yours don't, but I think, it's just, it's a
Yours are
sensitive
more like
subject to talk about
flowy.
monotheism and
Yep. And they're more
politics
like
and shit like that. So,
flowy views and stuff. Mine are like hard research. It's a little different
totally.
because mine's like something that's already happened, been discussed, researched. It's a
Hmm.
case,
Hmm.
whereas yours, you
More
kind of have to
data
build
to
your
keep,
own.
yeah, more data to keep track of.
Yeah.
So, maybe next week,
Maybe next
because
week.
then I'll be out of town.
Yeah. So we got to film 2 next
I know,
week.
because then I'll be out of town the 2nd through the
Maybe
ninth.
3.
So maybe, yeah, we gotta get a little stockpile.
Yeah. I'm working
I
on
can
it.
plan on it. But,
If you write 2, I'll write 2.
all right, 1.
If you write 2, I'll write 2. We'll see. We'll see.
Um, yeah,
But
we'll get to it.
yeah. The kittens are cuddled up right next to me, and it's so cute.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah. Anyway, should we hop
I think
into
we
it?
get going, yeah. I
This
have more
one,
bowls to make.
no, you gotta cook dinner tonight, baby.
I gotta cook
Got
dinner too.
salmon in the fridge. Ooh, ooh,
That
ooh.
stay-at-home wife vibe going on here.
Yeah, we joke. Blake's my trophy wife.
Yeah, because all of my work-related things
Are
just kind
from
of
home.
center around the
Yeah,
house.
and I'm gone all
Even if
day.
I, like, go around and do some real estate media, it's like I'm just there, and then I come back, and then I edit and upload and all that
And
stuff here,
takes
so
care of the kittens and cooks the dinners.
make the bed, do the laundry.
Yeah. Thanks, babe. I appreciate you supporting me
Dude,
being out and about.
2025 is the year of the man.
Yeah, I'm a hardworking woman.
Stay-at-home man. Hardworking woman, slanging coffee and telling
Typing
hippie chicks
emails.
what to do when they're
Yeah.
on cycles, typing
Oh, yeah.
emails.
Cycle instructor.
Mhm.
Um, anyways, before we like hop in to this episode, I wanted to give it a little bit of a disclaimer. I don't go into like too much gory graphics, but this cult is notorious for being one of the more violent cases.
Great.
That's why I wanted to do. I'm really stoked about it.
Pottery and
Never
violence. What a wonderful
pottery and
day.
violence and cults and coffee, and it's just our whole life.
Yep.
Uh,
We're very simple creatures.
and cats. But anyways, it's just a little bit more violent, and I'll preface again before I get into like the details on the abuse and stuff, just in case anybody doesn't want to listen to that part, they can skip forward or whatnot. Also, like always, the episode is just like a rough skim off the top. we dive into it, but there's so much information on these cults that it's hard to get the full detail into like these short little episodes. So if you're ever curious to learn a bit more about it, feel free to research more of it on your own. I think this one also has a movie that was made after it, and I'll drop the name of that later.
Have we watched it?
No, I
Ooh, let's
know.
do it.
I kind of want to watch it. I'd never even heard of this
Tonight
cult.
after dinner.
No, I don't know if I want to watch it before I go to bed.
Do you think it's that bad?
No, I just don't want to have weird dreams.
Is it Midsommar?
No, but that's a good movie.
No.
Sometimes I do have weird culty dreams from this.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. I had a dream last night where I
Mhm.
was in a plane, like a bush plane, and we crashed, and I was the only one that
Like
survived.
Hatchet? The book Hatchet?
Yeah, but like I survived, and like there were people around, and I was in like crazy amount of pain, and no one would help me, and I was just like in pain for 3/4 of my dream.
Maybe you shouldn't go to
And
Vegas
what was
next
fucked
week.
up is I remembered it vividly. Like I remembered it as if it was like it had happened.
Yeah, maybe
Whereas
you
I
shouldn't go
normally,
to Vegas
whereas
next
normally
week.
I don't dream or I don't remember my dreams at all. Like I'll remember it, like I wake up and I had it, and then when I actually wake up to get up, it's like gone. This one was like you were in this.
So you
It was
heard it
pretty
here
crazy.
first, guys. Blake's going on you heard it here first,
Yeah, but I'm
guys.
not
Blake's
taking a
going on a
bush plane to
vacation.
Vegas.
If the plane crashes, this was his prophecy. We must worship him as cult leader now.
Yes.
Uh I'm sorry, baby,
For what?
that you had a bad dream.
Oh. Well, if it makes me a cult leader, I'm cool with it.
No.
I'll take bad dreams all the time.
This is my cult.
Mine.
Back off.
I don't know if
Uh,
I don't it doesn't feel like vacation that I'm going on.
you're gonna go see your friends
Yeah, but something about it doesn't really feel like a
because you don't
vacation.
want to leave the pottery wheel.
I don't wanna leave the pottery wheel.
Go,
And, I'm
go,
going to Vegas.
go.
It's like, of all the places my friend could have moved, like,
Hmm.
you chose Vegas. Whereas another buddy of mine moved to Hawaii, and I'm like, "That's a vacation, but it's Vegas."
Yeah, I don't like Vegas.
Not a fan.
Find a cult and join it while you're there. Bring back the
Um,
research.
no, the only thing I'm doing there is getting my drone license for Soma.
Hmm, we'll talk about this more later.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Tangent, my bad.
Anyways, baby, have you ever heard of a cult called the Anthill cult?
Anthill?
Anthill
Mm-mm.
cult.
I appreciate the symbology to like,
Yeah.
colonizing ants and stuff.
Mhm.
That's
And,
cool.
like, that's how the name was created, which we'll talk about,
Because drones of ants.
but yeah, I had never heard of it before,
Mm,
and when researching this case, I wanted to do, like, a really good cult, but I was like, "I wanna do one I haven't heard of," so I looked up, like, cults that are not so well known, um, and it was on the list,
cool.
and man, is it good.
Let's do it. Dive
Alright.
in. Episode 8.
Oh, also disclaimer because I stutter already my way through these episodes and struggle because it's hard to read out loud in front of a camera. Um, the leader's name is French.
Oh, fuck.
It's Roche. His first name is
Oh, we
Roche.
can do that.
I can do that. I
You can
can't
do
pronounce his
Roche.
last
D-
name though.
don't just don't say it. Just
It's
call him
like
Roche.
I just want to give it a swing now so people can
Okay.
look it up. It's Roche Thériault.
Cool. Thoreau.
It's French.
Yeah. Theroux.
Anyways, his name's Roche. He ran the Anthill cult. When I was on Wikipedia, I was looking at his Wikipedia and it said occupation and then it just said cult leader. And I was
Oh,
like, that's
sick. I
cool. I
didn't
didn't
know.
know it was an
Yeah.
occupation.
Yeah, it's like you fill out. I don't remember the last time I had to. Oh, it's like your credit report. You're trying to get a credit card or something. And it's like, what's
Yeah.
your occupation? Which money do you make? And it's like
Cult
cult
leader. I
leader,
didn't know you could put that,
500,000.
but now someday I will.
Cool.
Anyway, so we're just gonna refer to him as Roche because I can pronounce that and it works.
Roche.
Roche.
'Kay.
Roch. But it's French.
Great.
Perfect.
Hey, good job.
I know. Off to a good start.
Yeah.
So, Roche was born in 1947 in Quebec, Canada. Roche was a charismatic yet deeply disturbed man who claimed to have a divine connection. He was raised in a strict Roman Catholic household. He became delusioned with traditional religion and developed an obsession with apocalyptic prophecies. By the late 1970s, he gathered a group of followers, primarily young, vulnerable people looking for a sense of community, and founded a religious commune. Despite his religious rhetoric, Roche was a manipulative and abusive narcissist who used his charm to exploit vulnerable individuals. His followers often delusioned people seeking spiritual guidance. They were drawn into his orbit where he demanded absolute loyalty and obedience. Roche named the group the Anthill Kids, drawing connections with their communal labor to the hardworking nature of ants. Initially, followers were drawn to his charisma and promises of salvation, the communal living, and the spiritual enlightenment. However, the group quickly descended into an environment of extreme control, fear, and violence. The Anthill Kids were notorious and extremely violent cult led by the Roche, a self-proclaimed prophet and a healer. Active from the late 1970s to the 1980s in Ontario and Quebec, Canada, the cult became infamous for its brutal control, horrifying abuse, and blind loyalty of its members. Another reference to the name was how the cult members toiled tirelessly like ants to build their remote commune, but beneath the surface, it was a house of horrors. Horrors.
Woo! Yeah, not whores.
Yeah, it came out quicker.
Although that would have been better, but he wouldn't be a cult leader at that. He'd be a pimp.
Or
They're
like
different.
the brothel leader. What are those called?
Oh,
They're not
the
called
madam. Is that what they are?
madam. Yeah, I do
Yeah, if you
like
go
that
to a
it's like a
brothel
chick
and
led.
there's like a main chick who like filters out people and
Yeah.
picks for you or whatever. I don't know. I've only ever seen it on TV. I've never been to a brothel.
Occupation. Madam.
Madam? I think it's madam. Yeah, the
Um,
madam of a brothel. That sounds right.
no, that doesn't sound right.
Really?
Yeah. Anyways, this isn't about brothels,
Yeah.
sadly. Um, so the the Anthill Kids settled in a remote commune in Ontario, completely cut off from society. Life for the members of the Anthill Kids was grueling and oppressive. Roche exercised total control over every aspect of their lives, including relationships, finances, and even food consumption. Followers were subjected to backbreaking labor. Members were forced to build and maintain the commune under harsh conditions, strict obedience. Any form of dissent or questioning was met with severe punishment, deprivation of food and medical care. They were withheld as a means of control, strict rules. Roche, off- Roche dictated every aspect of their lives, including the diet, the clothing, the relationship, even down to the thoughts that they were having. Religious indoctrination, followers were constantly reminded of Roche's divine authority. Roche's teachings revolved around the apocalyptic prophecies, which claim that he was the chosen one by God to guide the followers through the end of times.
Always. Every time, man. It's like, does
I
this
know how
not
many chosen from
where
God
do
are there?
where do people get this narrative from, man?
I don't know. It's not original.
No, there's so many.
Oh, your arm's warm on my hand.
Mm.
Over time, his behavior became increasingly erratic and violent. Members endured harsh punishments for perceived disobedience, including public humiliation, physical violence, and starvation. He justified his actions as a spiritual cleansing or a test of loyalty. So, diving a little bit into the paranoia of Roche, because like all cult leaders, of course, he was paranoid. Roche's paranoia developed gradually as his power and control over his followers intensified. It was rooted in a combination of his unstable personality, escalating abuse, and fear of exposure. Over time, his behavior grew more erratic and delusional, ultimately isolating himself and his followers into a destructive cycle of fear and control. Several factors contributed to his descent into paranoia. One, of course, is the Messiah complex and fear of betrayal. I feel like we see similarities in our last episode of Jonestown
Mhm.
with just the structure of their paranoia and like characteristics that they held. Roche saw himself as a divinely chosen prophet, claiming to have direct communication with God. His inflated sense of importance made him deeply insecure about maintaining his authority. He feared that any challenge to his leadership, no matter how small, could unravel the tightly controlled narrative that he had built. He began to see dissent or hesitation among followers as acts of betrayal. This paranoia led him to enforce strict obedience, often through brutal punishments and public displays of violence to discourage defiance. I feel like I reiterate the physical abuse and public violence, but there was so much of it that I just have to keep.
Do you have specifics, or are you gonna get to
Yeah,
that?
and we'll
Okay,
get
cool.
into it. But, like, that is I wanna say this cult has the most abuse out of any cults that we've
Hmm.
covered so
Of its
far.
own members.
Mhm.
Wow.
Of its own members,
Hmm.
uh, out of any other cults that we've covered, and any that I can think of off the top of my head out of the
Yeah.
podcast as well.
Cool.
I was researching it in front of Gabby at a coffee shop, and I was like, "Holy shit," and she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just so bad." And then I'd, like, keep going and do it again, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "It's just horrible."
Mm.
2, isolation of the commune. The commune's remote location in the wilderness of Quebec played a significant role in Roche's growing paranoia. Cut off from the outside world, he created an environment where his delusions went unchecked and his followers became entirely dependent on him. This isolation also fueled his fear of outsiders, authorities, neighbors, or even defectors who believed who he believed were conspiring to destroy him and his holy mission.
Hmm.
Fear of legal and public exposure. Roche's increasingly violent and abusive behavior created a constant threat of discovery. Several followers attempted to leave or alert authorities, heightening his fear of being exposed as a fraud and a criminal. To prevent this, he imposed strict surveillance within the groups, punishing anyone who expressed doubts or tried to leave. His fear of exposure drove him to commit even more and more heinous acts in effort to control his followers and silence potential whistleblowers. Also, side note, after reading it, but if he had a fear of being exposed as a fraud and a then like he obviously knew that what he was doing was a lie and a crime. Like,
Yeah. So,
but he's preaching like, no, 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 this is spiritual cleansing. Like, I am the one.
did he admit to being afraid of that, or how did like, or is this someone else saying he was afraid of that?
This is someone else and he's afraid of
Okay.
it. But I feel like
Yeah.
like, you can't have a fear of being a fraud.
I
But yes, I get
mean,
what you mean.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe like
did he?
back of his
Did
mind.
he? I mean, we're just assuming that he felt like he was a fraud, but
Yeah.
that's someone else saying that, not him saying I felt like a fraud or I was
Mhm.
afraid of being, a fraud.
No, didn't get any direct
I mean, deep down,
quotes.
yeah, deep down, I'm sure that that's where these insecurities then blossom into,
The need for this community and this control and this power. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like he obviously felt that way on some level.
Mhm. For his escalation of violence and power dynamics. As Roche's abuse became more extreme, his paranoia deepened. The cycle of violence and control led to a self fulfilling prophecy. The more he abused his followers, the more he feared they would rebel or report him, which in turn made him escalate his control. He frequently accused followers of plotting against him, even if no evidence existed, and would stage violent punishments to maintain an atmosphere of fear and submission.
Hmm.
Instability and delusions. Roche's paranoia was likely a symptom of underlying mental health issues. His delusions of erotic behavior and violent outbursts suggests a
Erratic.
ero-
His delusions of erotic behavior. I was like, ooh, this is a kinky cult. We're getting into it now.
No, too much smut.
Mm.
Erratic behavior and violent outbursts suggest a deeply disturbed personality combined with his messiah complex. This instability caused him to see threats everywhere, both within and outside the commune. Pressure of maintaining his narrative. Roche's paranoia was also fueled by the need to maintain the illusion of his divine authority. As his followers endured worsening conditions and abuse, cracks began to form in the carefully crafted image of himself as a benevolent leader. He feared that any loss of faith among his followers could collapse the entire structure of his control. This fear led him to demand absolute loyalty, force confessions, and accuse followers of sins or conspiracies to keep them submissive and off balance. Whew. Let's dive a little bit deeper into some of Roche's prophecy because I feel like that's a big part of this. He claimed to have a divine knowledge of an imminent apocalypse. Original. He prophesied that the world would end in a catastrophic nuclear war or other global disaster, which he said would occur in 1979. According to Roche, he alone was chosen by God to lead the group of righteous followers through the destruction and into a new, purified world. How many times have we heard that one?
A lot. That's all there is. They're all fucking some savior from God,
Yeah.
and it's always some apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah.
People have been preaching the apocalypse for a long time.
I want a
It's
zombie
like, we're still here.
apocalypse.
Yeah,
I'll lead us through the zombie
that
apocalypse.
seems the least likely.
Yeah, but that one seems the most
AI
fun.
seems pretty likely, or just some natural disaster like
Matrix?
Yellowstone blowing up.
Yeah. Or the Matrix.
Well, we are. That is
Yeah.
our
That's
reality.
yeah. In his visions, only those who followed him and adhered to his teachings would survive. He positioned himself as the Messiah figure, proclaiming that his commune would serve as a haven during the apocalypse, where followers would be protected under his guidance. When the predicted apocalypse in 1979 did not occur, Roche, like many cult leaders, rationalized the failure of his prophecy. He claimed that God had granted humanity more time due to his leadership and the faith of his followers. This explanation reinforced his control over the group as members interpreted the delay as proof of his divine power. He then shifted the focus from external apocalypse to an ongoing spiritual battle within the group, emphasizing their need for obedience and sacrifice to prepare for future trials. While the external apocalypse never came, he created a personal version of hell within the commune. His increasingly violent behaviors, extreme punishments, and brutal control turned the lives of his followers into a daily battle for survival, fulfilling the apocalyptic suffering he had often preached about. In the end, Roche's prophecy and the fear it instilled were tools for manipulation, ensuring his power over the group of vulnerable individuals who became trapped in his twisted vision of salvation.
Just have a commune, man.
Yeah, just
If
have a
that's like,
peaceful
yeah, like
commune where you cook dinners
what
together
did he get
and
out of
do
this?
yoga
What did he
together.
gain? He could have just had a normal commune where people were still there, still working for free for him that like could have come and go and like this wasn't weird.
No, it's about control and me being the all.
Man.
But yeah,
Yeah. Have you seen the movie The Beach?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
it's different. It doesn't have the same, apocalyptic scenario, but Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. It's from
Mm.
way back,
Oh,
and
and he
it's
was
about like a
cute.
deserted island that he finds, and there's a commune of hippies there, and just the things that go on. It's actually a really good movie, but it reminds me of this
Is it
like
a bad commune of hippies? I just
up
want
to interpretation.
just want a good commune of hippies.
Yeah,
Someday.
I mean nobody's perfect.
Yeah. I also don't want to live with that many people though. I want a commune of
Yeah,
just me
yeah.
and some kitties.
That's not a commune. That sounds like
And you, baby.
okay. Now it's a
And
commune.
maybe Gabe.
Gabe can come.
Gabe can come.
Gabe's cool.
Um, oh, we're gonna get into some of the abuse, just by the
Let's
way.
do it.
In case you guys don't want to listen, but I mean I don't go into that much detail.
It's a cool podcast. We're gonna say some horrible things. Get
Yeah.
used to it.
It makes you a little uncomfy, but you listen to true crime probably, so it's fine. So, Roche's control became increasingly sadistic as his paranoia and delusions grew. Some of the most shocking aspects of the cult included extreme violence. He regularly beat his followers and subjected them to horrifying punishments, including burning, manipulation, and forced amputations. Medical experiments. Claiming to have a divine healing power, he performed crude surgeries on his followers, including amputations without anesthesia and most of the time without the proper tools or rusty tools. Sexual exploitation. He fathered over 20 children with female followers, many of whom were coerced or manipulated into sexual relationships with him. His actions were justified by claiming that they were acts of the divine will, and members under his psychological control often complied without resistance. The children born into the commune were also victims of abuse and neglect, living in conditions of extreme poverty and violence. But wait,
Damn.
so while I was waiting for you to finish pottery, right before we started this. I was reading more about the abuse.
Mhm.
And so it's not in here, but it's worse than that. Um,
I mean, amputating people's limbs for fun seems pretty fucked.
yeah, but one of the members complained of like an upset stomach. I was reading like the cases of the abuse. I forget the exact member's name. One of the members complained of an upset stomach, so um he cut open her stomach and ripped out part of her intestine and then more stuff. There was more stuff with it. Like and he did like an edema with molasses and olive oil.
An enema with molasses?
Yeah,
Hmm.
to like try and help. Ripped out part of her intestine and then had one of the other followers like sew it up. And then she later died.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how it started. He punched her in the stomach, then cut open her stomach, ripped out her intestine, had the other member sew her back up. Obviously she was dying, and then she died. And he was like, "Oh, well, I can resurrect." So to resurrect, he had members cut open her skull so he could sorry, this is gross. So he could ejaculate onto her brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
when
wow.
yeah, and then when she didn't come back from the dead, he was like, "Oh, well, she just, like, wasn't the right one for it." Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm smiling because it's
Yeah,
uncomfortable,
no,
and it's
I don't have a
nuts.
lot of thoughts on that one.
And this was in front of followers. And then, um
I can't imagine being there, watching this happen, and being like, "Yep, that's the guy."
yeah,
He's clearly he's clearly connected to God.
I wrote it down in my notes since I didn't
What?
have time to put it in here, but, like, other acts would be members breaking their own legs with sledgehammers. They would have to sit on top of lit stoves. They would shoot each other in the shoulders. They would have to eat dead mice and feces. Uh, Sometimes followers would be asked to cut off another follower's toes with wire clippers to prove faith and
You coulda
loyalty.
opened with this. This would have been, like, the way to start this
I
podcast.
know, but I had
Like, "Hey, I've
skimmed.
got a story for you."
I know. Restart the whole thing.
What in the
Well,
fuck was he
I
doing?
had skimmed over the abuse and kind of like fully categorized, but then I was like, I kind of want to read about individual
Yeah,
cases.
that's why we're all here. Everyone at home is stoked right now.
Yeah, but I have to compile this into like
No,
a
you just
short.
tell us the terrible, dirty secrets of each cult.
Yeah, because that's what we're really here for.
Let's be
But
honest, we're all fucked up.
not
Maybe not
only
that fucked up.
don't be this fucked up. This is horrible. I'm just like like I can't wrap my mind around how one person, well, I mean serial killers do it, but one person can do all of this and it's like for the good. But then he had like I think 20 to 40. It fluctuated because people died. Uh,
No
20
one was reporting this? No one was like, "Hey."
people were trying. Some people were
Yeah.
trying. We'll talk about it. He had like
Hmm.
20 to 40 followers who were witnessing all of this
Yeah.
and
Someone
doing all
watched
of
him
this.
jerk off on this girl's open skull.
Yeah, this previously tortured past girl's open school, which is huh?
Did he have and this is a side tangent, and it's probably only from my brain, but did he have any material to help him? You know, like, when you go donate sperm, they, like, let you watch
No,
movies or, like, give you
no.
magazines or something?
He was probably like a
Like,
lot of
stoked,
serial
like, really
killers and got
excited
off on
about.
it. Yeah. And in front of his followers, because if you do it in front of your followers, it also, um, sets
I'm a
that tone of
mess, like, my
fear.
eyes itchy, I'm yawning, I'm like
It's late, sorry.
You're good. I'm trying to talk, and I can fucking get a few words, and then I yawn, and then I'm itching my eyeball, and I'm a
Babe,
mess.
pay attention to the abuse
Sorry.
and
Yes, no, I'm here for it. I'm
horrors.
here. Yeah,
Um,
those dirty whores.
horrors.
What?
Anyways, the abuse was not only to the adult members in the cult. Trigger warning, child abuse. It was extended to kids. Um, where are my
Yeah, you
notes?
gotta get the kids used to it because 'cause they're gonna have to endure it as adults
Yeah,
too, so you might as well start young.
but like the adults, Kids were sexually abused.
That's fucked.
They were held over fires.
W
They were nailed to trees while other kids threw rocks at them. They were left outside in,
They were
like, the freezing
nailed to
cold.
trees?
Yeah.
Jeez. I want some firsthand accounts from
While
some of these
other
kids now.
children threw
Yeah.
stones at them.
Yeah.
Um,
Goodness.
some of the newborns were just left outside in freezing temperatures because 'cause you're in Canada. Uh, Dang, I always thought Canada was, like, the good people.
Um, why? Why would you think that?
'Cause they always sound so nice. Anyway.
It's a good thing you're pretty.
Anyways, yeah, I just wrote these in my notes since I didn't have time to get them in here, so I'm skimming. Oh gosh, but yeah, he just had it was horrible abuse. He would, like, inject ethanol solution ethanol solutions into people's stomachs if they were, like, complaining of stomach issues. Just
My goodness.
because he believed and he preached that he was purifying these members through all of these acts of cruelty and abuse, and it would only make them stronger and, like, more.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to justify your
I
behavior,
don't
right?
know how you justify that.
Well, they found a way. I guess God was trying to cleanse people's demons, devilish thoughts by
It's just nuts. This was basically like, oh, because I've listened to so much true crime. It's basically like one of those really twisted, messed up serial killers like Ed Gein,
Mhm.
but he had a cult following,
Yeah. Every serial killer's dream.
right? Ugh. Anyways,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So that's the violence. Pretty shocking. So, the commune's remote location in the Canadian wilderness allowed Roche's abuse to continue for years without external interference. However, as the group's activities became more violent, authorities began to investigate. In 1989, the cult came to public attention when a member fled and reported the abuse. This prompted law enforcement to raid the commune, uncovering the horrific conditions and evidence of Roche's crimes. It was a pretty quick downfall.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, like, once you catch wind of this, like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, but you know how sometimes it, like, takes a
Yeah.
couple people. No, 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 this one was happened.
Yeah.
They raided, saw, like, the murderer's den.
Whoa.
Um, Roche was arrested and later convicted of murder, aggravated assault, and other crimes. He was sentenced to life in prison where he remained until his death in 2011, where he was killed by his fellow inmate. He was shanked in the neck by his cellmate
Damn, I wonder why.
because he did bad things.
Yeah,
And the
but he
cellmate
probably
was a
was
murderer, but, like, just a murderer.
I love that. There's different classifications
It
for
is.
sure.
And most of the time,
Hmm,
like in
crazy.
prisons, if they hear of someone like being a
Doing
child
child,
predator
yeah.
or like abusing
But how many years
children,
was he in jail before that happened?
um, he was arrested in 1989.
Yeah, that's 30 something years,
Well,
right?
then maybe his cell
90.
member like
I don't
had
know.
just
My
figured
math isn't
out, or
working.
like he got a new cell member or something. I don't know. I didn't really
He
look.
probably tried to touch him or something. He probably doing some weird shit.
I didn't care to look too
That's
much
great
into
though.
his
I'm
death
glad. Yeah.
because he was a shitty person.
Yeah.
So he died.
Hmm.
I don't feel bad about it.
Good.
Um.
You shouldn't.
Mm-mm. Anyways, the Anthill Kids cult, led by Roche, had a relatively small number of members compared to many other cults, but the level of abuse and suffering inflicted on them was exponentially severe.
Hmm.
Exact numbers can be difficult to confirm, but here is what we know based on some of the historical accounts and a couple of the cases that I read. So, for the death count, at least two members are confirmed to have died, but it speculates more than that, like a handful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Due to the extreme violence, specifically the medical procedures. Um, I can't say her first name, but Boilard is her last name. Died in 1988. She was the gal her stomach was cut open,
Hmm.
intestine ripped out. Gabriella Lavelli's child in 1981. was one of the children that he had sired from her and died after being left outside in freezing temperatures as punishment as an infant.
What do you punish an infant
I
for?
don't know, crying. It's likely
What in
that
the world?
there were additional unreported, undocumented deaths, particularly among the children that were born in the commune, but these are like the confirmed
Yeah. Yeah,
cases
you
that are
would
written
never know,
about.
right? If a kid is born and then they
Just die.
dies for some
Or
whatever
like
reason, and then they just
the I'm
bury it somewhere.
I'm assuming that some of these gals, at least one, probably died from like childbirth
Oh, I would
issues because that's
imagine.
super
Yeah.
common and like it sounds like it was not very sanitary.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure a lot of newborns died also due to that. Just malnutrition too. Like these people were starved,
Mhm.
so the kids were also starved. So yeah,
Right.
so many ways that they could die. Um, Escapes. Several members managed to escape the cult through the exact, though the exact number is uncertain. Notable escapes were Gabriella Lavelli, that's the kid that had just passed. She was a long-term member. She fled after enduring years of abuse, including manipulation, the death of her child. She ultimately provided crucial testimony that led to Roche's arrest.
Hmm.
A few others, including children, managed to leave over the years, often fleeing to family members or authorities. Escaping was incredibly difficult due to the cult's isolation and the violent retaliation that Roach held against those who tried to leave, and the
Yeah.
24/7 surveillance.
So
Um,
normally I can relate to people in, to some degree, right? Getting involved in cults and experiencing this and being a part of it. But the severity of this one, it just seems so
this one seems
far
more
out
like they
there.
got there and then they were trapped but wanting to
Um,
leave. From what I
there's probably
read,
a little bit of that. Yeah. That
from
makes sense.
from what I read, it
Like,
was
hey, come check out
less.
this commune. And you're like, all right, I'm down. And
Yeah,
then you get there and you're like, uh-oh.
and it was
And then you're just
uh
beaten
yeah,
from like the moment you arrive.
like a lot of the cults we talk about, there is like that abuse and violence, but it's kind of
Yeah,
layered in like the love bombing and we're your
totally.
family
This
and
just
this is our
sounds
community.
terrible.
This, I think they like got there, started happening, and then were trapped because of the
Yeah,
violence and the
yeah.
fear. Like if they even tried, he was like, no, break their legs, like,
Jeez Louise.
or no, shoot them in the shoulder, cut off their toes, hold them over a fire. Like,
Fuck.
I just, I'm sure most of these people were like, this is not it,
Yeah, yeah.
but couldn't leave.
Hmm.
And then kids, like, what are the kids gonna do?
Yeah, if you're born into a situation like that, you're
Yeah, you're like, this is
yeah.
just hell. So yeah, I
Hmm.
don't know. It's just,
Damn.
members at the time of the arrest, when Roche was arrested in 1989, the commune had significantly dwindled in size. By that point, around 10 adults and several children remain loyal to him. The exact number of children present is unclear, but many of them were offspring of Roche's forced sexual relations with female members. In summary, confirmed deaths, at least two, more likely a handful that were just unreported. Escapees were several, including the key witnesses that basically led to the downfall of the cult and the arrest. Remaining members were approximately 10 adults and then a good amount of children. Roche's extreme violence, isolation tactics, and psychological control caused the cult to shrink over time as fear and brutality ultimately led to some of the members to escape and expose him of his horrific crimes. Also, another touch point, people who did escape, I was reading just after experiencing that, the fear and the issues and the post traumatic
Mhm.
that they experienced was so like a lot of these people were messed up for the rest of their lives. So it was
Yeah.
so much that they
Yeah,
couldn't
you're
even go to
tortured.
the authorities,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
out of fear, out of just can't do it, can't bring it up, like
yeah.
out of so many things, but just the mental effects and I'm sure physical effects left after leaving this cult and two members who did survive the cult was huge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad. I mean, thankfully, I have no real experience of, like, physical abuse like that to that degree by any stretch.
Mhm.
And it's difficult to even imagine. Like, of course, you wanna be like, "Yeah, of course you'd go to the police," or, "Of course," but it's like, you don't know, like, how severe that is, what it's like to then own it, acknowledge it, have to tell somebody, have to relive it, have to
Yeah.
face it, like
And, like, what parts
yeah.
can you remember? What parts did you block out? Like,
Yeah, right? You get
it's
out of that and you're like, "That what the fuck just happened to me?"
and I feel like
You're probably
that's
terrified.
that's another thing that I like to bring awareness through this because I don't think it's talked about, and I know we haven't touched a whole lot on it, but, like, surviving members after cults have
Mhm.
been dismantled or arrested or whatever happens to them. Just it's nuts what I'm sure what they have to go through and how hard that is, and I know there's, like, different there's, like, specific ex-cult helplines and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Mhm. But still, that's a big point that I like to draw awareness to because I think a lot of people forget about that part.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense.
It's just it's sad, and I bet it's extremely difficult. I can't imagine, so I can't speak for it, but
Right. Hmm.
yeah. Anyways, the legacy of Anthill kids. Roche's growing paranoia created a toxic environment within the Anthill kids where fear, suspicion, and violence dominated daily life. His delusions of betrayal and conspiracies drove him to commit increasingly horrific acts of abuse, including physical mutilations, physical mutilations, and public executions of perceived traitors. Ultimately, this paranoia contributed to the collapse of the cult when followers fled to authorities, exposing the horrifying truth of life under his control. For Roche, his inability to distinguish between real and imagined threats not only led to his downfall, but sealed his legacy as one of the most abusive cult leaders in history. The Anthill Kids remains one of the most shocking examples of how charismatic manipulation, isolation, and abuse can trap people into unimaginable suffering. Roche's cult serves as a stark warning about the dangers of unchecked power and blind faith. For survivors, the physical and emotional scars of the cult's horrors continued to shape their lives, while the story of the Anthill Kids endures as a chilling chapter in the history of cults.
Bam. It's a big
Bam!
one. That's
Stuttered
yeah.
through that last paragraph
That's
a bit,
yeah.
but
It's getting late, we're hungry. That's a sad one. That's rough.
it's sad. And
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's definitely a heavy one, but I really wanted to do it because it existed.
Mhm. Yeah. No, it's
That
good
that
to
was
talk
something
about.
that happened.
Mhm.
The movie, there is a movie made about it. I screenshotted it. Um, in 2002, the film called Savage Messiah depicts Roche's crimes against his followers and ensuing legal recourse.
Cool. It's a
Yeah.
fitting title.
It's kind of it's like a social worker whose investigation reveals the crimes.
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Oh, and Gabriella Lavallee, who
Mhm.
we talked about, wrote a memoir of her life in the sect entitled, it's in French, but it means Alliance of the EU.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to read that.
If you wanna read a cult book, then I'm sure it's gonna be rather graphic.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could audiobook it too.
I don't know if I want to audiobook that. I think I'd rather just read it.
Yeah, if you can find, like, an American version.
Yeah, but
Hmm. Episode 8.
that's episode 8,
Right on.
and sorry for the heavy
Yeah.
horrors.
My takeaway is that, it would be really fun to sire children.
What?
You said he sired children. I was like,
That's what it
that's like a
means.
cool it just sounds like
No,
a cool thing to
that's
do.
like the old timey way of saying it.
Yeah, I
It
know.
just means you have
No,
kids.
I know, but just I just wanna be like, I sired that one.
Ew. We're never siring any.
Sire. Just I don't know, it just seems like very official and
No, these were
masculine.
sired under bad terms. It's bad
Yeah, I'm
siring.
not saying I wanna sire it that way,
No
just in
siring.
general. I was trying to lighten it here, alright?
Siring implies that or like, pervy like royals who like sire bastards.
Can you not sire in, like, a not grotesque way?
I feel like no, it just doesn't fit the word.
Sire. Hmm. My brain had a positive spin on it, but
Mm-mm.
apparently I was wrong.
No siring.
No siring kids. Sorry.
But anyways, guys, that's
I don't
this
know.
week's episode.
Oh, there's more. What do we have?
After 8 whole episodes
Yeah.
of not doing this,
Mm.
I wrote a sign off.
Oh, wow. Let's
Don't
hear it.
read it.
I can't. My eyes are going to shit and it's
Well,
upside down.
because you're old. Um, but yeah, any last thoughts?
No, I'm too
Oh,
old
wait,
to
wait, wait.
think.
Babe.
Yes.
So, babe.
No, I would not have joined.
Good.
Yeah, no,
I would
I'm
be
good.
worried if you would. But I had
I'm
to
good.
ask because,
You
it's
know,
part of the
how we do it.
yeah, it's how we do it here on
Yeah,
Babe.
no. I mean, maybe someone could have been like, "Hey, come check out this commune. We're growing food." And I would have been like, "All right, maybe."
And then you got trapped there.
Yeah, like if that is really how it went down, like, we'll never know officially, but I probably would have gone and check it out. And then I've been really bummed to like be nailed to a tree and be like, how did I get here?
Yeah, false pretenses,
Yeah, I don't know.
false advertising. But yeah.
Damn, that's rough.
Anyways, don't forget to follow us on Instagram under
Like,
Babe Let's Join a
subscribe,
Cult.
follow us,
Yeah, like, subscribe,
If
leave a
you want to do it,
comment,
you'll do it. If you don't want to do it, no
leave a little
worries.
rating.
Thanks
I
for
always just
listening.
like to remind that we are on Instagram. You can email us any cult stories or cult recommendations at babeletsjoinacult@gmail, or DM us on the Instagram.
Yep.
I do read through them. And yeah, stick around to hear our sponsors because here on the podcast we drink tea and not the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Yep,
Damn good tea too.
damn good tea.
Mm-hmm.
But
What
yeah,
else? What else? Was that the outro?
no, that's not my sign off.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry.
wrote it.
Oh, okay. Do the
Are,
sign off. Are
are
you
you
ready?
ready?
Are you guys ready? All right, let's do it.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Well, because
Me
one
too.
of my favorite
Do it.
podcasts,
Yeah.
they had changed their sign off, and I was like,
Oh.
sign off? Why have I not thought to make a sign off yet?
Do I need to be privy to the sign off, or do I get to experience
No,
it
it's
too?
all me.
Okay.
You get to
Yeah.
experience it.
Take the show away. That's not the right phrase, but you get what I'm saying.
Take the podcast away. Yeah. All right, ready? Ready?
Do it.
And remember, babes, stay curious, question everything, and don't drink the Kool-Aid. See you next week.
Ooh. The one thing I don't like is that I am babe.
Yeah, but
So
now they're
now
babes.
everybody babes.
Babes.
I have one key.
Babes, let's join a cult. I thought it was cute.
It is very cute. You did great.
I need something to call the listeners. All podcasts have like something they call their little listeners.
I
Their
guess
fan
they
base.
can be babes. That's fine.
They're babes.
I'm not
You
that
guys are all
attached.
babes.
Nice. Even the wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And little.
There's gonna be some like rando 80-year-old dude like listening to it like,
Yeah,
I'm a babe.
Yes, you are a babe.
Yeah. Maybe he made his day.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 8. Way to go.
9.
Whatever. 9. 9?
9. Episode
Pardon
10
me.
coming to you next week.
Yep. It'll be one of us.
You have to write one too.
Signing off.
All right.
All right.
See you later, babes.
Bye, nerds.
This episode of Babe Let's Join a Cult is sponsored by Tea Tree House Teas, and let me tell you, we've been obsessed. I've been drinking their Vita Long Chai lately, and it's perfect for the season. The Lung Love blend is on deck as cold season kicks in. Tea Tree House makes these unique botanical blends that are gorgeous from start to finish with some serious magic, like their butterfly infusion that turns blue and sparkles. Plus, every tea is ethically sourced, sustainably grown, and packaged in reusable, compostable containers so that you feel good with every sip. And get this, with each purchase, they plant a tree to help protect endangered plants. It's like a small little ritual with a big impact. You can get yours at teatreehouse.com and use our code BabeLet'sJoinACult for 10% off. That's BabeLet'sJoinACult at teatreehouse.com. And trust me, you'll find your new favorite tea so you can be drinking the tea and not the Kool-Aid.